We are here on the historic D-Day beaches paying our respects.
The Travel Guys are in Normandy, France, next.
The Travel Guys is brought to you by Flight Center, with 175 stores across Canada and online at flightcenter.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Darren Parkman.
And we are the Travel Guys.
We are here on the historic and sacred Juno Beach in Normandy, France, where 5,500 Canadians lost their lives during the D-Day campaign back in World War II.
Coming up, we're going to pay our respects to the Allied and Canadian servicemen who lost their lives during that campaign.
You know, many of the soldiers that died here were just kids. We'll check out other areas of Normandy, including the Mont Saint-Michel Abbey.
You must climb up to the top of the historical abbey. And we'll visit the tomb of William the Conqueror.
He's actually entombed right behind us here. All that and a lot more coming up. We are now in the capital of Normandy, the city of Caen, and it's hard to believe the city was actually 80% destroyed in World War II before it was rebuilt.
And proud to say that our own Canadian troops played a large part in the liberation of this key city on their way to liberating all of France.
As the tide of battle moves forward, French civilians return to collect the salvage of their ruined homes. Life begins anew in battered Caen.
You know, Europe is known for its great architecture, and Caen really is no different. Amazing stonework here.
Yeah, it's amazing, buddy. Every place we go to, you see great cathedrals, you see great castles, and garrisons like this one. It's amazing.
You know, there are still some incredible, incredible buildings in this town.
You know, until you actually come to these towns, I still find it amazing that 80% of this town was either damaged or destroyed. I mean, it's like these churches look like they weren't touched.
You never know, though. They could have had a bomb hole through them, been repaired.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta say, I've seen Caen many times in World War II documentaries, and I always just pictured it the way I've seen it on TV, which is a pile of rubble while it was occupied by the Germans after D-Day. And it's really nice to see that it's been rebuilt in a great way.
Yeah, it's got that great mix of new and old, too.
Get the old shops and the old structures and then the new businesses. You know, I heard rumors before I came to France that when you get here, everybody likes to sit around in outdoor cafes, sidewalk cafes, and drink wine. And it turns out those rumors are true.
Yes, and we're actually going one step further and sitting here drinking beer. We're drinking a lovely beer called Affligem.
Is that what this is?
Yes, it's actually quite nice. Yeah.
Well, vive la Affligem.
Cheers.
All right. One of the few historic buildings that actually wasn't destroyed by bombs in World War II is the Abbey of Caen, and we're inside there now. The townspeople were very clever. They actually put a white sheet on the roof with a red cross on it during the war, so the Germans didn't bomb this building. They thought it was a hospital.
Now, you must come and check this out, if for no other reason, to see the tomb of one of the great king warriors in history, William the Conqueror. Now, he didn't die here in Caen, but he wanted to be buried in this place, his favorite town.
And he's actually entombed right behind us here. Another must-see when you're in Caen is the Museum for Peace in the World, which commemorates the D-Day invasion, which happened a short distance from here, and all other wars.
That's right, does us proud to see the Canadian flag flying up there along with all other United Nations who fought in all those wars.
You know, there are a lot of great original artifacts in this museum. I'm guessing this is one of the original amphibious vehicles that came off the Allied landing craft at D-Day.
That's right. Unfortunately, a lot of these never made it to shore. Many of them sunk as soon as they got off the boats.
That's true. Well, this is very interesting. I actually have this very same original poster hanging in my living room at home. Propaganda was a huge thing in World War II for both sides. This is an original Buy War Bonds poster for the American side.
I recognize the work of the artist Norman Rockwell. Now, this was a series of 4, correct?
It is, and it's got that real Americana look.
Yeah.
This is very cool. You got the typical rations of World War II here. You've got the Army issue cigarettes, the beer, the tea.
Don't forget the chocolates and boiled sweets. And how about this container here that's full of cookies?
Well, now it's time for a little thing we like to call Jim and Darren Meet the People.
Or as it's also known, approaching total strangers that would normally ignore us.
Yes.
Let's go.
What is the best thing about Normandy?
I don't speak English.
I'm learning a little bit of French. I'm going to try some on you. Je m'appelle Darren.
Je m'appelle Dan. Dan.
Je m'appelle Darren.
Je m'appelle Darren. Moi, mon nom, c'est Cyril.
Okay, what does that mean?
My name is Cyril.
Ah, nice to meet you, Cyril.
Thank you.
Can you tell our viewers in Canada what is the best thing about Normandy?
The best thing, the landscape and the ever-changing weather.
Nice to meet you.
Oui.
Parlez-vous anglais?
Pas du tout. Pas
No?
du tout, pas du tout.
Je m'appelle Darren.
Tell me, what is the best thing about Normandy?
Je ne comprends rien du tout. Désolée.
What does that mean?
Je comprends pas.
C'est beau.
C'est beau.
C'est beau.
C'est beau, beau. Oui.
That means it's nice here, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oui.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, forfait.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're learning. That's great. Thank you.
Merci.
Au revoir, Cyril.
Okay, bye-bye. See you.
Okay, merci beaucoup, monsieur. I'm becoming French. This is great.
You tell our viewers in Canada, what do I need to know? I don't speak any French. Tell me how would I order a beautiful bottle of wine?
French wine, les Bordeaux,
Les Bordeaux.
Bourgogne
Uh-huh.
et les vins alsaciens.
Cheers.
Yes. We have new friends.
They hate us. How's the ice cream? And crème glacée? Delicious? Yes, we have some. You just want to give me any hint? No.
Buddy, I'm loving these outdoor cafes here in France.
You got that right. Hey, TV camera.
Oh, hey. More travel guys from the Normandy region coming up next.
Nice ad lib. Thank you. Yes. It is a very blustery, windy, rainy day here in Normandy, and we are at the Abbey of Saint-Michel on that tiny rock island behind us.
That's right. Now, Darren and I have seen a ton of history on this great Normandy trip, but I tell you, this has got to top it, buddy, as this abbey just celebrated its 1300th birthday.
That's old. Oh, it's great to see they found a way to cash in on the 1,300-year-old abbey. At least here at the base of the abbey, it appears to be a bit of a shopping mecca. Yes.
Well, as you know, in modern times, where there is history, there is, of course, merchandising and lots of money.
Well said, sir. Sir, I think I may have found the perfect souvenir to commemorate my trip here to the abbey.
What would that be?
Check out this little puppy here, huh?
What are you, 7?
I shall strike thee down.
Okay, buy it then, that's fine. Hey, look, Darren, this 1,300-year-old abbey has its own burgers.
Well, I hope the burgers aren't 1,300 years old, because I'm going to have me one.
You know, once you get through all the commercialism and the shops and everything, you must climb up to the top of the historical abbey.
How many stairs is it to the top, by the way?
About 300.
Kind of wish I'd known that before I had that 1,300-year-old burger. a
See,
few
I
minutes
told you
ago.
about that, didn't I?
Would you describe this as sort of a pilgrimage to the top of the abbey?
No, a trek.
A trek?
Yeah.
A trek, okay.
Where's that burger sitting right now?
Right about here. Yeah, like a rock in my stomach. Oh, Oh, nice little hike. Nice little hike up here to the top of the Abbey. We made it, though. We made it, which is good.
Apparently it costs. You got to pay for tickets to get into the latter part of the Abbey.
Oh, it's €8.50.
Yeah.
Okay, so any cash?
I never carry cash, no.
And I spent my money on that 1,300-year-old burger downstairs.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's go back down then.
Let's leave? Okay.
Well, after a full, refreshing day of Abbey exploring, it's nice to relax with a cold, refreshing beer.
So the day was refreshing as well?
Yes, it was actually. Very nice. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to believe that a 1,300-year-old structure like this actually has a bar inside of it, but morally, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Cheers. Well, we've had our 2.5-hour lunch. Now we're having our 3.5-hour dinner here in France. That's how they do it here, by the way. And I can see why French cuisine is loved the world over. I could really get used to this. I could.
As could I, sir. You know, you come to the Normandy region, what's great is the food here is wholesome, very simplistic to make, and very healthy.
By the way, what are we eating here? It's great, by the way.
I have no idea.
It's good, though. Okay, so you paid €6 for that beer. That would be the equivalent of about $10 Canadian, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not kind of 2 for 1 like it is with the British pound, but yeah, you're up around that, what, 75–80%, I think.
I had some French fries, a plate of French fries earlier, €6. That's about $10. So a little more expensive here in France, in Normandy. So the moral of the story, bring lots of euros.
Yeah. Well, this is why we came here. We're at historic Juno Beach. It was right here that over 14,000 Canadian troops landed along an 8-kilometer stretch.
And it really kind of chokes you up to think that 5,500 Canadian troops died here on this very beach and during the rest of the 80-day Normandy campaign. You know what surprises me is how beautiful this beach really is. It's gorgeous. I mean, so peaceful and tranquil. You got the fishermen fishing from the shore up here. There's sailboats just offshore.
Can't imagine what it must have been like on June 6, 1944, huh?
It's really unfathomable, and it's surprising how close the hills are to the beach, and how vulnerable must the soldiers have been when they came into shore with the hills this close and the Germans lying in wait. Well, we are now at the Canadian Cemetery just a few miles from Juno Beach, and this is a real honor. We're here with Douglas Gray, who actually landed on D-Day here in Normandy, and it's a real thrill for us to be able to talk to you here, Douglas.
Tell us, Douglas, about that day, June 6, 1944. You come up on the beach.
We had 6 landing craft, and the landing craft was very old. We had to push ladder type. And
you had to come down a ladder. And you were wounded.
And I was wounded, and I had a piece of shrapnel embedded in a rib in my back. This is when a French Canadian picked me up and lifted me onto their side of the beach. And from then on, they took me further over where they had a medical unit, medical center, and they kept me. I was there for three days.
And you were reported missing.
My mum got a telephone saying missing in action.
She didn't know you were rescued by a French Canadian.
Not then.
How does it feel for you to come back and see Juno Beach after all these years? How does it feel? What emotions do you have coming back?
Sad, very sad sometimes, because you realise that you're alive. You know, my next birthday, I'm 85. My next birthday, and I've just had surgery on my knee, and it's healed now. So they let me come, and I was able to come. Of course, I can't march.
Right, you can't march.
But it doesn't matter. You can, you know, you can.
So many memories for you.
Yes.
There are over 2,000 grave sites here at the Canadian Cemetery. It's not as big as the American one, but of course it is as important.
And you know, it really chokes you up when you think about a guy like Douglas Gray visiting this cemetery all these years later. He works side by side with the Canadians, and a lot of his comrades are resting right here. I gotta say, I'm really glad we actually came by here, and I actually have a distant relative that is buried in this very cemetery.
If you are a Canadian, you owe it to yourself to take an afternoon and come pay your respects to the Canadian soldiers buried here.
We are now in another great area of Normandy. It's the historic town of Bayeux, which happens to be the first town liberated by the Allies back in 1944. And this whole area was completely untouched by any sort of bombing after the D-Day invasion.
That's right, pal. Hey, and by the way, there's lots of great reasons to come to this town. Great architecture, like the cathedral behind us. You can also check out their big tourist attraction, which is the Bayeux Tapestry, over 1,000 years old.
One of the first things you notice about the town of Bayeux is the big Canadian influence here. There's Canadian flags flying on the street behind us. And probably one of the main reasons for that is the fact that Canadians actually liberated this town in World War II.
That's right, and as we talk to more people here in the town, especially the older generation, there's a real great appreciation and respect for we Canadians, and they have not forgotten the sacrifices our soldiers made during the war. You know, buddy, I'm amazed, even though we've spent a lot of time in smaller towns here in Normandy, it's nice to see that most people in these towns speak English, but it helps if you can speak some French. Now, I know you know a little bit. Can you want to help me out here?
I'm picking up a few French phrases since I've been here. I've got one, salle de bain.
That means what?
The bathroom. That's good to know,
salle
that
de
one.
bain, the bathroom. Right.
I got another one, bonjour, mon petit poulet vert.
What's that mean?
Hello, my little green chicken.
So, with those two things, I can say, hello, my little green chicken. Do you know where the toilet is?
Well, it's handy to know both those. I mean, you know, you never know when you see a chicken that's green. I mean, it could happen.
Actually. Well done. You've really done your research.
What have you picked up, by the way?
Oui.
Very good. Wow. Another very, very sad part of Normandy is the American cemetery. More than 9,300 soldiers rest here, and it's really the largest cemetery we've ever seen. The headstones stretch back as far as the eye can see.
And it's rather fitting for these soldiers that the cemetery is just up the hill from the beach here at Omaha, where part of the Allied invasion began on June 6, 1944.
You know, it's amazing when you stop and think that, you know, many of the soldiers that died here were just kids.
Yeah.
I mean, many were even teenagers.
Yeah, and I guess for some too, it was even worse that the Army couldn't identify who they were, dog tags destroyed, whatever, physically, and so they're buried as just comrade in arms.
Well, we actually happen to be here in Normandy on the anniversary of the D-Day landings, and every year the French recognize that in a very, very big way, as you can see right behind us.
That's right, pal. We're in the middle of a farm field just up the street from Juno Beach, seeing some fantastic fireworks, having a great time.
Buddy, I'm absolutely shocked at how many people have turned out here tonight to recognize the D-Day landings. It's amazing. There must be 2,000 to 3,000 people here.
And I'm very happy to see there's a lot of kids here. Parents are bringing their kids to remind them about this great historical moment.
It's amazing. This is to celebrate, really, France's liberation. Well, we wrap up our whirlwind trip to Normandy. From where else? A great sidewalk cafe in the town of Bayeux, which happens to be the first town liberated by the Allies, the Canadian troops, mind you, after the D-Day invasion.
But before we leave, as we always do, let's check out Jim and Darren's top 5 coolest things about Normandy.
Number 5.
Literally drinking in the cafe culture of Normandy.
How many sidewalk cafes have we been
23,
to?
actually.
23. All right.
Number 4.
Being near true historical greatness, standing beside the tomb of William the Conqueror.
Number 3.
Celebrating the D-Day landings right here where it all began in Normandy. Number 2.
Having the honor of chatting with a D-Day veteran in the actual town where he landed in 1944.
And the number 1 thing about Normandy, France.
Actually visiting the beaches and paying our respects to the thousands of Canadian and Allied troops who lost their lives for our freedom.
Well said. We'll see you next time on The Travel Guys.
The Travel Guys is brought to you by Flight Center, with 175 stores across Canada and online at flightcenter.ca.